Good evening, I'm Gerg Cahiles sitting in for Pinky Web. Tonight, we ask the questions, we tackle the issues, we clarify matters, and we get on point. The presence of internet and social media have made propagation of fake news easier. A policy research group says media literacy should start in homes and schools where critical thinking and fact-checking are developed. The spread of misinformation and disinformation not only threatens institutions but also poses risk to society in general. Authorities are now finding ways to help combat lies in the media. Let's get on point with Cybercrime Investigation and Coordinating Center Head, Rojun Hosillos, and Public Information Officer of PNP Anti-Cybercrime Group, Police Lieutenant Wallen Arancillo. Good evening po.
Good evening, sir.
You know, nowadays, the term fake news is loosely being used. So, is there a specific definition for this as far as your agencies are concerned? Sige, let's start here, sir.
I think there's no especially legal definition for fake news. However, it's loosely anything that is wrong, anything that is not truthful is considered fake news.
Even if you're not, it's not favorable to you, you say it's fake news na rin, no? So that's why it's being loosely used. Sa inyo, ma'am, sa cybercrime, sa PNP at least.
For the Anti-Cybercrime Group, often we prefer or refer this term, the fake news, into the misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation, or what we call the information disorders. Most of the time, these information, most especially if it has defamatory content, or shall we say libelous content posted online. And often, it was reported to us. And as of the moment, we already have 21 arrested persons for the libel case.
All right, so let's go to those numbers later, ma'am. But I'm just wondering po, how rampant is the proliferation of misinformation and disinformation, malinformation, as Lieutenant mentioned earlier, especially that the election season is here. So I was reading the news yesterday, and it was cited the CICC saying that there's this false election prophets. Maybe you want to further explain that, sir. What does that mean?
Well, George, we have uncovered that there are people that are trying to convince, especially those running for election, that they can tweak the result of elections. And there are some that are getting victimized by this, probably because they think that they will not be winning the election. But as far as we are concerned, our electronic election systems are quite formidable, and we haven't seen anything that will make us doubt that these things can happen, and these attackers or hackers can hack into those election systems of the Philippines.
So ito pong false election prophets, you may consider them as peddlers of fake news?
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
They are. Yes.
All right. So now, for our audience po, just to give us an idea, ano po ba yung function ng bawat opisina niyo? For instance, unahin na po natin yung PNP-ACG in relation to fake news po, no? Ano ba yung function po ninyo, and paano po natin na-determine whether an information being spread on social media may be considered as misinformation or disinformation?
For the PNP Anti-Cybercrime Group, our core function is actually to investigate the matter. And most especially, we are conducting cyber patrolling and online investigation and monitoring as well. Dun po sa mga misinformation or malinformation, or mas kilala sa ninatawag na fake news. And after po that, we are conducting din po surveillance and the case build-up so that we will be able to know the real identity of those people na ginagamit yung social media sa pag-post ng mga fake news. And by that po, malalaman natin kung sino yung sasampahan ng kaso.
Kumbaga na doon yung enforcement aspect po
Yes
niya.
po.
Alright. Yung CICC naman po, it's under the DICT, which is a bit controversial now, sir, but we will not talk about it. But, ano pong ginagawa po ng CICC, sir?
Generally, the CICC is our National Cybercrime Investigation and Coordinating Center. It's a coordinating center for all those involved in the fight against cybercrime. So that will be the two law enforcement agencies, the Philippine National Police and the National Bureau of Investigation. And we have two competent authorities, that is the Department of Justice Office of Cybercrime and the CICC. So yung CICC po is we get everyone together so that we can talk on what's best, the best way on fighting cybercrime, what policies are needed, especially with cybercrime being very fast technologically. And also we also have a complaint center that caters to first response to those who are victimized by cybercrime.
Okay.
So and also we are the national support unit of all the law enforcement agencies in the Philippines concerned with cybercrime. So we have tools, especially with our National Cybercrime Hub, where we share those tools and those technologies with our law enforcement partners.
Talking about your the hub, sir, and talking about the arrests that Lieutenant mentioned earlier, gaano na po ba karami yung mga reklamo, arrests, or cases filed in relation to misinformation and disinformation, if there's any? Kasi kanina, ang binabanggit po ni Ma'am is 21 arrests related to libel.
Libel,
Oo.
yes, sir.
Pero, so ibig sabihin, libel is the law that is being used right now to, siguro, parusahan yung mga sinasabing peddlers ng misinformation, disinformation. Can you elaborate lang po? The numbers, can we talk about that?
As I can remember, sir, for the misinformation, recently we have implemented a warrant to search, seize, and examine computer data in relation to the complaint filed by the director of CIDG, if you can remember.
Yes.
Because he was posted na he is ill, critically ill in the hospital, lying in a hospital bed. And yun, yung ginawa ni sir is nagsampa po siya nag-file po siya ng case sa PNP-ACG, which ginawa naman natin ng agarang aksyon. And yun po, nagkaroon tayo ng implementation ng warrant ng WSS-ECD. And as of the moment, ongoing po yung digital forensic examination with the confiscated devices.
So, with libel in place, now, I'm just wondering if there's really a need for a new law to be created to penalize the peddlers of fake news. But before we answer that, we'll take a short break with CICC head Rojun Hosillos and PIO of the PNP Anti-Cybercrime Group, Police Lieutenant Wallen Arancillo. Stay tuned. This is On Point.
Hello and welcome to Follow the Money. I'm Rain Musni. Join us as we explore the tools and insights you need to jumpstart your financial journey.
We empower.
This country deserves a real choice in the next election.
We motivate.
Do not invest money that you're not able to afford to lose.
Changes that are vital.
We're monitoring the sale of these products online.
Follow the Money with Rain Musni.
Keep it here on the Billionaire News Channel. Always on top.
The latest news, national issues.
For universal healthcare, the law is established, the implementing rules and regulations, even the budget has been defined.
The political scene.
I'm glad that he made that perfectly clear, that they will always be behind us.
And conversations with prominent personalities.
There's only one reason, politics. They want them out. What is dangerous is we might have a reorganization of governments.
All these firsthand at the forefront.
Welcome back. You're watching On Point. So with us, CICC head Rojun Hosillos and PNP Anti-Cybercrime Group PIO Police Lieutenant Wallen Arancillo. Now, Going back to our question, is there a need for a new law for this to at least penalize those who are peddling fake news? Si Sir Rojun muna.
Yes, I think there is really a need because we should always have a balance between freedom of speech and also online safety. So there should be a balance, and I think there is a need for laws on those. But I think this has to be a regulation or a law that must be a product of a whole of society approach.
Sir, you're saying regulation. Anong i-regulate natin?
Well, with the broadcast industry, we have the KBP. So that can happen. So that's why these things needs a lot of debate. This needs a lot of inputs coming from the whole of society, not just the government, but the private sector, the academia as well, and the telcos, the internet service providers. What do we think is best for them, is best for everybody?
Okay. So, sa law enforcement naman, Lieutenant, ano po, may mga gaps ba na hindi natin nasasalo because of lack of, siguro, the law?
For the PNP Anti-Cybercrime Group, based on investigation, we really have to have a regulation dun po sa mga social media platforms.
Okay.
Because as we can see, the social media platforms are being used by these peddlers to make some news which is not really true, or the fake news as we say. And we really have to have here an office dun sa mga platform so that mas mabilis yung coordination and mas mabilis din yung identify natin with the perpetrators. And by that, it would be easier for us to file a case against those offenders.
Kumbaga, nasa technical aspect po tayo.
Yeah.
Not of, siguro yung lack of yung existing law, like what I was saying earlier, yung libel. Kasi when you talk about libel, and when we look at the definition of fake news based doon sa mga proposed law, parang parehas lang naman. Kasi present yung mga iba't ibang elements ng libel. Kaya libel yung kinakaso po ninyo. Yes, ma'am.
We have another law regarding that. It is the unlawful means of unlawful use of means of publication and other utterances. So that is the law that we are using with regard to the fake news offenders.
Kumbaga, punishing, okay na. Yun na lang coordination and some technical aspects ang kailangang ayusin ng batas.
And yes, also probably the definition of some things. Like probably we have to expand the definition of service providers. Definition of internet service providers, payment service providers, intermediaries, those things. I think this was also discussed during the executive committee meeting of the Cybercrime Investigation and Coordinating Center. And this was shared by the Philippine National Police and the NBI as well.
Yung tanong ko nga po, ma'am, can you easily trace yung mga sources ng mga fake information sa social media?
For the tracing, we are applying for the cyber warrant. It is the warrant to disclose computer data. We are implementing it to the specific social media platform that is being used by the offender. And then that's the time. If we already got those information, that's the time that we will be able to know the real identity of those persons. And we will be able to know as well whom to file the case with.
Cyber warrant from the court?
Yes.
Okay. So, how cooperative naman po yung ating mga social media platforms, yung tech giants, in terms of implementation ng mga warrants na binabanggit niyo?
As of now, since we have seen, and also those platforms have seen that ginagamit na sila dun sa mga fake news and other scams as well, they have decided to have a MOA dun sa atin, and we are working closely with those social media platforms, and with that we can expedite the process. So meron na po tayong connection, lalong-lalo na most especially sa isang social media platform na ginagamit ngayon. So nakipag-collaborate sila sa atin, and through that partnership mas mabilis po yung cybercrime investigation po natin. And of course, with the help of the CICC and other government agencies, mas napapabilis po natin yung pag-trace ng mga pangalan ng mga taong ito.
Speaking of platforms, now I'm wondering, should we consider making these platforms, these tech giants, responsible and accountable as well in terms of the proliferation of fake news? Kasi kung halimbawa po, kung nangyayari to sa mismong platform nila and they don't do anything about it, they just, allow it to happen, parang may problema. Because in other countries, meron silang mga batas on this.
Yes.
Should we consider that as well?
Yes, sir. That's one of the regulation that our law must have.
Okay.
Since if we already have a regulation dun po sa social media platforms, then perhaps we can filter or we can stop this fake news already.
Okay. Well,
Gerg,
yes, sir.
let me just share to you the trend now abroad is regulation.
Okay.
And there has been several cases also that yung mga tech giants has their leaders arrested, and they are also being regulated. And in fact, in recently in Australia, those children below 16 years old could not own a social media account. So it has already been included in their laws, yung mga ganung regulations.
Dapat ba umabot tayo sa ganun na, Sir Rojun, na yung mga bata, they should not be allowed to have their own social media accounts?
I think there should be a lot of debate on that, doing a pros and cons study. And if those that are better equipped in dealing with laws will think that this is better for the Philippines, then we should implement.
Yes,
But
sir.
it has to have a lot of study.
I agree with sir, and most especially if we can see the numbers, the data as well, they are prone to OSAX and SASAM cases. So there has to be a regulation talaga na yung mga bata, especially yung mga minors and babae, they must have restrictions dun sa paggamit ng social media platforms.
Hindi lang to sa fake news, but other cybercrime
Yes.
cases.
Yes.
All right. Sige po, ngayon, pinagbabangga kasi, if there are laws that will be created to combat misinformation, disinformation, some groups, civil society groups, media organizations are saying that this might impede our right to speech, freedom of expression, freedom of the press. How can we ensure that this will not be affected in case that we will create a new law? Kasi nga, kung libel pa lang ang usapin, meron na kaagad na mga ibang media organizations po, nagpo-push back sila na baka dapat hindi i-decriminalize na yung libel, no? But, this is something else. Paano naman po yung ganong aspect, Sir Rojun?
Yes, I suppose that's why we will be needing the input of everybody. But we need to have, and we need to strike a balance between regulation and civil rights. Because without striking that balance, we are not anymore living in a society. We are living anymore in an anarchy. We have a distinct world with the cyberspace. And whatever controls that we have in the physical space must be translated to the cyberspace as well. Same with security. Same with safety. So if we do these things, if we have to cross the road in a pedestrian lane, we have to do that as well in the cyberspace.
We're running against time, and it's hard to play catch up. But we'll take a short break. More of this discussion with CICC head Rojun Hosillos and PIO of the PNP Anti-Cybercrime Group, Police Lieutenant Wallen Arancillo. Stay tuned. This is On Point. Welcome back. You're still watching On Point. Still with us, CICC head Rojun Hosillos and PIO of the Anti-Cybercrime Group, Police Lieutenant Wallen Arancillo. Now, let's talk about the bigger picture po, because the World Economic Forum recently released a report saying that misinformation and disinformation tops its list of global risk sa short term. And sa long term, it's number 5. So it's a worldwide phenomenon po na siguro kailangan nating tingnan mabuti, no? Now, mas concerned tayo when one country is using misinformation, disinformation to, that affects the sovereignty of another country. For instance po, itong National Historical Commission of the Philippines, they fact-checked. I don't know if you were able to see that. They fact-checked the social media post that saying that Palawan was once a territory of China. So what can you say about that? Once another country is using misinformation, disinformation, fake news as a weapon. Sir, please.
Yeah, that is something that is very, very bad for one country to be doing to another. And as a community of nations, we should not be doing that to our neighbors. If these are state-sponsored, that is a lot of concern. I hope that it's not. But we also have some information that I don't know if it's organized or not, but we have been attacked continuously by other countries. So that's why we really have to invest more on our cybersecurity posture as a country and as a nation.
May higher level organization ba where you talk about these things? I mean, you tell other countries that, you stop doing that because that's not true. That's fake news. May mga ganun bang lugar, sir, to discuss those things? There's a platform for that?
The problem with the cyberspace is we are all offered anonymity. So you cannot really say that this country did that or this person did that. Because most of these attackers will always have anonymity tools. They will not really reveal themselves. So that's one problem, and that's one dangerous nature of the internet.
Also now, another case, sir, was this independent media organization who was able to unearth this scheme, no? It was discussed during the Tri-Committee hearing. I don't know if you were present during that hearing, but it was mentioned that a Chinese-named X accounts were being used to spread fake news about territorial issues as well as defending Vice President Sara Duterte and her family. Are we able to trace these things? Kung nagagawa po ng isang independent media organization, kaya din bang gawin ito ng ating mga otoridad?
If we receive those reports, sir, then we have also our own cyber intelligence and patrolling unit who can do that, since we also have a strong collaboration with other countries as well, the foreign law enforcement agencies. And here in Philippines, we also have the CICC and the DOJ and other agencies that could really help us with regard to the investigation.
So we do it reactively, or meron tayong proactive measures to be able to stop these things, especially kung alam naman natin na medyo, teka muna, hindi yata tama yung narrative talaga nito. It affects our sovereignty as a nation.
Yes, sir. Proactively, we are working closely with the other foreign law enforcement agencies or the Interpol, to say. And also, we are discussing regarding this matter so that hindi pa siya lumalabas ay pwede nating i-stop.
Yeah.
So currently, yung COMELEC po kasi, it has this agreement with social media platforms para to combat misinformation, disinformation this election season. May mga observers nang po saying that, teka muna, if the COMELEC has the power to identify which information are misinformation, disinformation, baka naman masyadong nako-concentrate sa kanila yung power. At paano ba nade-define ng COMELEC kung ano yung fake news at hindi? Ano yung mga measures to be able to determine that?
Well, actually, we are also reviewing those together with the COMELEC and in participation with our law enforcement partners like the PNP and the NBI, as well as the DOJ OOC. It's actually a whole of government approach in doing that. And also, these tech giants as also their fact checkers as well. So it's a redundancy in knowing whether it's right or wrong. There is a redundancy to that.
Kaya lang, sir, Meta, for instance, they stopped their fact-checking program sa US, and so many people fear that it might happen as well here in the Philippines. Although the project with the 3 fact-checker partners of Meta here in the Philippines, sabi nila until the end of the year pa yung kanilang program. So pasok pa dun sa ating election period. But then again, after that, what will happen next? Diba? Mas yun yung siguro concern.
Yeah, well, we are also doing fact-checking for Meta.
Okay.
The CICC also doing that, and we're sharing to them information, as well as the Philippine National Police and the National Bureau of Investigation.
Sir, I'm curious, how do you do that? Yung fact-checking mechanism ng CICC?
Well, we actually have warm bloods doing that, and we actually have a 24/7 hotline.
Okay.
And when we're not receiving complaints, that's what they're doing. Going into the internet, patrolling the internet, and then if they see something that's not right, then we communicate with those tech giants.
Yes.
Siguro as my last question for both of you, sayang po, maganda yung discussion natin, ano? How do you engage the public to allow them to, identify which among the information that they are seeing are in fact fake news, misinformation, disinformation, and how are we going to promote truthful messaging siguro? Simulan muna natin kay Lieutenant Arancillo.
Proactively, we are using the social media cards. We are creating some social media cards saying that, or giving paalala and reminders to the public not to believe on those information seen in the internet, since hindi po lahat ng nakikita natin doon ay tama at totoo. So we really have to verify this information before believing in them. And also, we are collaborating with those platforms so that we will be able to do some projects and programs as well to stop this fake news. And if we happen to engage with those posts online, then yung ginagawa po namin ay nagkakanda kami ng surveillance and also online monitoring para makita pa kung ano pa yung mga pinopost nila online, so that we will be able to report it and mapa-take down, and malaman natin din kung sino yung mga tao behind, so that malaman natin kung sinong sasampahan ng kaso.
All right. Sir Rojun, please.
I'm actually putting a lot of faith in the Filipinos. Mapanuri po kasi tayo as a race. And right now, we are also seeing those that tayo na nga po ang nagde-decide na ito is fake news. So, yung mga tao po is not that hindi po silang mapagpaniwala agad. So, especially the younger generations, mapanuri po sila. And probably in the generations to come, that level of being mapanuri will further and will be better. And we ourselves will be fact checkers of the internet in the near future.
Sabi nga nila, sir, kailangan taniman na ngayon so that we reap something which is very useful for our society in the future. All right, and thank you very much to our guests, and thank you for joining us. And that's On Point. Join us again tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. here on BNC, the Billionaire News Channel. I'm Gerg Cahiles. Thank you for watching.